All right, today we're diving into a really cool idea. It's this thought that a leader's purpose, well, it isn't something you just find once and then, stick on a shelf. Nope. It's more like a living, breathing thing that grows and changes right along with you in your career. Think of it as a dynamic journey, not some static, fixed destination. So let's just jump right in with a big question. Is a leader's purpose totally set in stone? I mean, a lot of us kind of assume it is, right? But what if the most incredible, impactful leaders are the ones who actually let their core why evolve? That's exactly the idea we're going to unpack together today. Okay, so here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to define what this evolving purpose even looks like. Then we'll break down 5 key shifts leaders go through, dig into what actually triggers these changes, and look at some amazing real-world examples. And of course, we'll wrap up with some lessons for your journey. So let's get started. What does an evolving purpose really mean? All right, first things first. What are we actually talking about when we say evolving purpose? Well, at its core, it's all about a leader's focus expanding outward, moving from just personal goals to something way, way bigger. Here's an analogy for you. Think about learning to ride a bike. At first, you're totally focused on just not falling over, right? It's all about your own balance, your own pedaling. But pretty soon you get good enough to lead a group ride, navigating traffic, encouraging everyone else. That is the essence of an evolving purpose. It's that shift from personal mastery to collective impact. And yeah, just like riding a bike, it takes practice, and you've got to be willing to wobble a little bit along the way. Okay, so what does this evolution actually look like in the real world? We can actually break it down into 5 key shifts, big changes in a leader's mindset and how they approach things. Let's dive in and explore them. So the first big shift is moving from self-focus to a shared vision. Look, early on, a leader is often laser-focused on their own performance, just managing tasks and getting things done. But an evolved leader, they shift their energy. They focus on creating a powerful shared vision that gets everyone excited about a common purpose. It's really the difference between being a taskmaster and being a storyteller, someone who weaves a narrative that everyone on the team can see themselves in. Next up, we've got the shift from just using your position power to having real personal influence. I mean, anybody can get a fancy title, right? But true leadership, that's not about the authority your org chart gives you. It's about the influence you earn. And that comes from building trust, showing empathy, and just being your authentic self. The key takeaway? Power is given, but influence, that's earned. Okay, shift number 3. Moving from a focus on short-term metrics to creating long-term impact. It is so easy to get caught up in chasing those quarterly reports and quick wins. We've all been there. But evolved leaders, they lift their gaze up to the horizon. They're not just planting seeds for the next harvest. They're planting trees that will provide shade for people they may never even meet. And then we have this huge shift from stability to adaptability. Back in the day, a leader's job was often just to maintain order and predictability, but that's not the world we live in anymore. In today's kind of crazy, volatile world, the most crucial skill is adaptability. These leaders aren't just weathering the storm, they're learning how to dance in the rain, turning all that disruption into a real catalyst for growth. And that brings us to the final shift, moving from making solo decisions to really fostering collaboration and empowerment. Let's be real, the myth of the lone genius leader, it's just that, a myth. Evolved leaders get that their job is to unlock the potential in other people. They empower their teams, they develop future leaders, and they build a culture where success is something that's genuinely shared by everyone. Now, these shifts are incredibly powerful, but they don't just happen in a vacuum, right? So what are the catalysts? What actually ignites this evolution? What are those sparks that light the fire of change? You can think of it like a perfect storm of catalysts. Sometimes it's a huge external shockwave, like a global crisis that just shatters the old way of doing things. But other times it's more of a quiet, internal whisper, that growing desire to leave a legacy that actually matters. It's fueled by the courage to really look in the mirror, to listen to feedback, and to just never stop learning. And honestly, in today's world, it's also a response to a super clear demand. People want to follow leaders who stand for something more than just the bottom line. Okay, so this isn't just theory, I promise. Let's look at some absolutely remarkable, real-world examples of leaders who truly lived this journey of an evolving purpose. Let's start with Bill Gates. His initial purpose was totally revolutionary. Put a computer on every single desk. And wow, did he succeed, beyond anyone's wildest dreams. But then his purpose evolved dramatically. He transitioned from being this legendary tech titan to a global humanitarian, and he applied that same fierce intellect to solving humanity's biggest problems, things like disease and poverty. Or think about Nelson Mandela. His early purpose was to end apartheid, even if it meant using armed struggle. But after spending 27 years in prison, his purpose completely transformed. He emerged not looking for revenge, but with this incredible, evolved mission of reconciliation, forgiveness, and uniting a deeply fractured nation. Malcolm X is another powerful example of this kind of profound evolution. He started out as a major voice for Black separatism, but then a pilgrimage to Mecca completely changed his perspective. It broadened his purpose to fighting for social justice alongside people of all races. And how about Mother Teresa? For 20 years, her purpose was to be an educator, but then she experienced what she herself called a calling within a calling. And it completely shifted her life's mission to serving the poorest of the poor in the slums of Calcutta. And look, it's not just historical figures. Think about Reed Hastings. He started Netflix with a simple goal: beat Blockbuster by mailing DVDs. But his purpose evolved right alongside technology, leading him to pivot the entire company into the global streaming and content powerhouse it is today. I mean, what a masterclass in adaptation. So, after hearing all these incredible stories, what can we all learn? More importantly, how can you actively cultivate and guide the evolution of your own purpose as a leader? This quote really just captures the essence of it all. Evolved leadership is a fundamental shift in perspective. It's moving from asking, how can I be a great leader, to asking, how can I build great leaders? It's about that move from being the hero to being a hero maker. So, how do you actually put this into practice? Well, it all starts with building that personal influence we were talking about. Being open, being vulnerable, and leading with real empathy. It means truly embracing adaptability, especially when things get tough. It requires a relentless curiosity, that learn-it-all attitude, instead of a know-it-all one. And ultimately, it all comes down to that final, absolutely crucial shift: empowering others. Because at the end of the day, the true measure of your leadership is the success of the people you lead. And that really brings us to our final thought for today. Your purpose, it isn't a destination, it's a direction. It's not a monument, it's a movement. It is evolving right now as you're listening to this. So the only question left is, where will you guide it?